The morning sun spilled through the floor-to-ceiling windows of our Atlanta suburban mansion, glinting off the quartz countertops in the kitchen. I stood there, Jake Harper, 38, sipping black coffee from a chipped mug, my favorite, the one I'd had since college. The house was quiet, save for the distant hum of the pool filter outside and the soft tapping of my wife Lauren's manicured nails on her phone screen. She sat at the breakfast nook, her blonde hair pulled into a sleek ponytail, scrolling through Instagram with that focused look she got when curating her next post. Our kids, Mia, 7, and Ethan, 9, were upstairs, probably fighting over whose turn it was on the iPad. Just another Saturday in our polished, predictable life. I'm a tech founder, or at least that's what my LinkedIn says. 15 years ago, I was just a scrappy coder, hunched over a second-hand laptop in a garage that smelled like motor oil and burnt circuits. Back then, Lauren was my biggest fan. We met at Georgia Tech. She was a marketing major with a laugh that could light up a room, and I was the nerd with big dreams and bad hair. She'd bring me vending machine snacks during my all-nighters, asking questions about my code like she actually cared. "You're gonna change the world, Jake," she'd say, her eyes bright. I believed her. We got married at 24 in her parents' backyard, me in a rented tux, her in a simple white dress, both of us broke but stupidly happy. I promised her a life bigger than we could imagine. I meant it. Fast forward, and I built that life. My startup, FreightFlow, a logistics platform that optimized shipping routes, went from a pipe dream to a quiet giant. Investors called it the backbone of e-commerce. I called it my obsession. Late nights in my home office, debugging code or pitching to VCs, turned into seven-figure funding rounds. We moved from a cramped apartment to this 6,000-square-foot house in a gated community, white columns, a 3-car garage, the works. Lauren traded her thrift store jeans for Lululemon and Gucci, her old hatchback for a gleaming white Range Rover. Our kids went to a private school with a STEM lab and organic cafeteria. To the outside world, we were the American dream, Southern style, successful, photogenic, #blessed. But it wasn't perfect. Lauren had changed, or maybe I just started noticing. The girl who once stayed up late dreaming with me about backpacking Europe now spent her days chasing likes. She'd become an influencer. Her Instagram grid a curated shrine to our perfect life, poolside selfies, charcuterie boards, #momlife captions that racked up thousands of followers. She'd spend hours staging photos, Ethan in a tiny blazer, Mia in a tutu, me forced into a cashmere sweater for family shots. "It's branding, Jake," she'd say when I grumbled. "This is how we stay relevant." I hated it, but I let it slide. My work kept me busy, and her posts paid for her highlights and handbags. I figured it was harmless. Still, there were cracks. Lauren's new friends, other influencers with fake tans and faker smiles, filled our house for content days, sipping rose and laughing too loud. They'd eye me like I was the hired help, not the guy who'd built the life they envied. "Where's your husband hiding?" one would ask, and Lauren would laugh, waving a hand. "Oh, Jake's always working. You know, coder life." Her tone had an edge, like I was a quirky accessory, not her partner. At night, she'd scroll her phone in bed, her face lit by the glow, while I stared at the ceiling, wondering when we'd stop talking. The kids kept me grounded. Ethan, with his gap-toothed grin, loved building Lego cities and asking me how trucks talk to my app. Mia, quieter, would curl up with a sketchpad, drawing flowers or robots, her questions sharp for a 7-year-old. "Daddy, why's mommy always on her phone?" I dodge, ruffle her hair, and promise ice cream later. They were my why, the reason I pushed through 80-hour weeks, the reason I ignored Lauren's digs about my boring genes or how I didn't network enough. I was building for them, for us, even if Lauren seemed to think it was all for her. What she didn't know, what I'd kept quiet, even from her, was that FreightFlow wasn't just doing well. It was a rocket. Last month, I'd flown to New York for a meeting with a global conglomerate. Over steak and bourbon, they offered to buy my company for $1.5 billion. Billion, with a B. I'd signed the papers 2 days ago, the ink barely dry, the money wired to a private account Lauren didn't know existed. I'd planned to surprise her, maybe buy that cabin in Blue Ridge we'd talked about years ago, back when she still looked at me like I was her hero. I wanted to reset us, rebuild what we'd lost. That was the plan, anyway. Then I saw it. I was grabbing my jacket from the hall closet, ready to head to a meeting, when Lauren's phone buzzed on the counter. She was in the shower, the kids at school. I don't know why I looked, call it a gut punch. A text from Ryan, trainer, lit up the screen. Asterisk can't wait for Miami, babe. You sure he's clueless? Asterisk my stomach dropped. Ryan, her personal trainer, with his slick smile and 2 tight tank tops. I'd met him at the gym, shaken his hand, ignored the way he lingered around her. But this wasn't a workout plan. I scrolled, my hand shaking. Messages about flights, a hotel, how they'd have the time of their lives. Lauren's reply. Asterisk Jake's too buried in his laptop to notice. Per guy. Asterisk per guy. The words burned. She thought I was blind, broke, a nobody she could mock. She had no idea who I was, or what I was about to do. The smell hit me first, sharp, chemical, like melting plastic. I stood frozen in our Atlanta kitchen, the morning light glinting off the quartz island, as Lauren held my driver's license over the stove's blue flame. The card curled, blackened, then ignited, her lips twisting into a smirk that didn't reach her eyes. You're not going anywhere, Jake, she said, dropping the smoldering remains onto the counter. Ashes scattered like confetti. Stay home with the kids. That's what broke guys do. She turned back to her phone, scrolling as if she hadn't just torched a piece of my identity. My coffee mug trembled in my hand, but I didn't speak. Not yet. Lauren, 36, my wife of 14 years, wasn't the woman I'd married. The girl who'd cheered my late-night coding sessions was gone, replaced by this stranger who measured life in likes and brand deals. Her Instagram, with 80,000 followers, was her kingdom-curated shots of our mansion, our kids, her yoga poses by the pool. To her, I was a prop, the hard-working husband in her captions, the guy who funded her Range Rover and Chanel bags. But now this? Burning my license wasn't just spite. It was a power move, a way to keep me grounded while she soared. She was leaving for Miami tomorrow, her suitcase already packed by the door. She didn't say with who, but I knew. Ryan, her personal trainer, with his slick grin and 2 familiar texts. I'd seen the signs for months, her late-night gym sessions, the way she'd angle her phone away when I walked by. I'd ignored it, buried in my work, hoping I was wrong. I wasn't. The kids, Mia and Ethan, were at school, their backpacks still by the foyer where they dumped them last night. The house felt too big, too quiet, the air thick with Lauren's perfume and her betrayal. I stared at the ashes, my jaw tight, replaying her words. Broke guys. She thought I was failing, that freight flow, my logistics startup, was a pipe dream bleeding us dry. She didn't know I just sold it for $1.5 billion. The deal was finalized 3 days ago in a Manhattan boardroom, the money wired to a private account she couldn't touch. I'd kept it secret, planning to surprise her with a new life, maybe that Blue Ridge cabin we dreamed of when we were broke and in love. But that dream died with my license, reduced to a charred smear on the counter. I moved to my office, a glass-walled nook off the living room, and locked the door. My laptop glowed as I pulled up our joint bank account. My gut twisted. Thousands gone, $12,000 in the last month alone. Charges for first-class flights to Miami, a suite at the Fontainebleau, dinners at places I'd never been. All on my card, the one Lauren linked to her phone for emergencies. I scrolled further. Spa days, jewelry, a $3,000 charge at a boutique. She wasn't just spending, she was siphoning, building a life I wasn't part of. I opened another tab, checked her Instagram. Her latest post was a selfie by our pool, captioned, *chasing sunsets and new adventures. #living my truth star. The comments rolled in fire emojis, heart eyes, her influencer friends hyping her up. I wanted to smash the screen. Instead, I called Marcus, my lawyer and friend since college. He answered on the first ring, his voice calm but sharp. Jake, you sound off. What's up? I told him everything, the burned license, the Miami trip, the bank account. My voice stayed steady, but my hand shook. She thinks I'm broke, Marcus. She doesn't know about the sale. He let out a low whistle. Damn. Congrats on the billion, man. But this? She's playing dirty. What's the move? I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. I want to protect what's mine. The money, the kids, the house. She's not getting a dime. Marcus didn't hesitate. We can freeze the joint accounts, lock her cards. You've got a prenup, right? I nodded, though he couldn't see. Yeah, she signed it years ago. Laughed it off, said I'd never make it big. He chuckled, a dry sound. Her mistake. I'll start the paperwork. Sit tight. I hung up, my mind racing but clear. Lauren thought she'd caged me, turned me into her stay-at-home puppet while she ran off with Ryan. She didn't know I was steps ahead. I opened my banking app, checked the private account, $1.5 billion, untouched, wired through a shell company I'd set up for tax purposes. Lauren didn't even know the company's name. I transferred $50,000 to a new account for immediate expenses, then emailed my business partner, Nate, who'd been with me since Freight Flow Escarage days. Keep the sale quiet, I wrote. *no leaks. I'm handling something personal. Asterisk his reply was instant. Asterisk got your back. Call if you need me. Asterisk. Back in the kitchen, the ashes still sat on the counter, a dark stain against the white quartz. Lauren was upstairs now, humming as she packed, oblivious to the storm brewing. I grabbed a notepad, scribbled a message. Asterisk enjoy Miami. I'll take care of everything. Asterisk I left it by the ashes, knowing she'd see it and think I'd surrendered. Let her. I wasn't running in a panic. I was calculating. I walked to the garage, grabbed a duffel bag, and packed essentials. Clothes, my laptop, a spare phone. In my office safe, hidden behind a fake panel Lauren never noticed, I pulled out $10,000 in cash, some documents, and the key fob for a Tesla I'd bought last year and never told her about. It was parked at a friend's place, out of her sight. Before I left, I checked the security cams on my phone. I'd installed them after Lauren claimed someone tried to break into her car last year, a story I'd never fully bought. The footage was cloud-backed, accessible anywhere. I'd review it later. For now, I locked the house, got into the Tesla, and drove into the Atlanta night. The city lights blurred past midtown skyscrapers, the hum of I-85. I wasn't the broken man Lauren thought she'd left behind. I was something else, something she'd never see coming. I checked into a downtown loft, paid in cash through the shell company. The space was sleek, glass walls, hardwood floors, a view of the skyline. I dropped my bag, poured a glass of water, and stood by the window, the city sprawling below. Lauren thought she'd burn my wings. She'd just lit a fuse. The Atlanta skyline glittered outside my downtown loft, a stark contrast to the ashes of my driver's license still burned into my mind. I stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city's pulse syncing with my own, calm, focused, ready. Lauren thought she'd grounded me, torched my freedom while she jetted off to Miami with Ryan, her trainer. She thought I was clueless, broke, a husk she could mock. She had no idea I'd sold freight flow for $1.5 billion, the money safe in an account she couldn't touch. Her smirk as she burned my license wasn't just betrayal, it was war. And I was done playing defense. I sat at the loft's sleek desk, my laptop open, the glow casting shadows on the hardwood. First, I needed proof. Lauren's stunt with the license was bold, but sloppy. I pulled up our home security cams, cloud-backed and hidden from her. I'd installed them last year after she claimed someone tried to break into her car, a story that never sat right. The footage loaded, and there she was, late at night, smashing her own car window with a crowbar, glancing around like a bad actor. My jaw tightened. She'd staged it, probably to cover something, money, lies, who knows. Another clip showed her slipping into the garage with Ryan, his hand on her back, her laugh echoing. They thought they were untouchable. They were wrong. I hired Sarah, a private investigator I'd met through Marcus, my lawyer. She was sharp, no nonsense, with a knack for digging up dirt. Give me 24 hours, she said over the phone. By noon, she emailed a file that made my blood run cold. Texts between Lauren and Ryan, pulled from a burner phone she'd been careless with. He's got no spine, Lauren wrote. Asterisk thinks he's still a big shot, but he's broke. We'll clean him out in Miami. Asterisk Ryan's reply. Asterisk love it. New life, babe. Just us. Asterisk they've been planning for months, siphoning money, plotting to paint me as a deadbeat husband while they lived large. Sarah found more. $25,000 funneled from our joint account into a hidden one Lauren controlled, plus receipts for their Miami trip, first-class flights, a penthouse suite, all on my dime. The kicker was Ryan's fiancée, Emily. Sarah tracked her down, a graphic designer who thought Ryan was on a work trip in Tampa. I called Emily, asked to meet at a Buckhead cafe. She showed up wary, her blonde hair in a messy bun, her eyes tired. What's this about? She asked, clutching her coffee. I didn't sugarcoat it. Ryan's in Miami with my wife, Lauren. They're stealing from me, probably from you too. Her face crumpled, but she didn't cry. I showed her Sarah's photos, Ryan and Lauren boarding a plane, his arm around her, her smile smug. Emily's hand shook as she pulled up Ryan's cloud account on her phone. I've got his password, she muttered. The text flooded in. Lauren and Ryan laughing about how they'd screw Jake over, how they'd frame me as absent, unreliable. One message from Lauren chilled me. Asterisk he'll crash without me. Always has. Asterisk Emily looked up, her voice hard. They're done. I leaned back, the cafe some fading. This wasn't just an affair, it was a heist. Lauren had spread lies to her influencer friends, too. Sarah found group chats where she called me a washed-up coder, a loser who'd never make it. Her friends ate it up, mocking me at brunches I'd paid for. I pictured them in our living room, sipping rose, laughing while I worked late to build the life they envied. Lauren thought she'd outsmarted me, but she'd underestimated the guy who'd turned a garage dream into a billion-dollar empire. I wasn't her prop anymore. I called Marcus, pacing the loft. "They're stealing, lying, setting me up," I said, forwarding Sarah's file. "Lock it down, accounts, cards, the house." He didn't flinch. "Done by morning. Joint accounts frozen, cards canceled. The prenup's airtight, she gets nothing unless she fights in court. And with what? Her follower count." I smirked, imagining Lauren in Miami, swiping her card for a cocktail and getting a polite declined. Marcus added, "I'll draft restraining orders, asset freezes. You want the house in your name?" I nodded. "Transfer it to the shell company. She's got no claim." The loft felt like a command center now, every move precise, every step forward mine. I checked my phone, text from Lauren, sent before she boarded her flight. Asterisk, "Don't wait up, babe. Miami's calling." Asterisk, no mention of the license, no guilt, just her usual breezy tone. I didn't reply. Let her think I was still the clueless husband, moping at home. I opened the banking app, confirmed the $1.5 billion in my private account, untouchable behind layers of legal walls. Nate, my business partner, texted, asterisk, "Sales still quiet." "You good?" Asterisk, I typed back. Asterisk, "Better than good. Keep it locked." Asterisk, he sent a fist bump emoji. Nate had seen Lauren's snide comments over the years, her eye rolls when I talked code. He knew what this meant. The cams pinged, emotion alert from the house. Lauren had left for the airport, her Range Rover gone from the driveway. I rewatched the footage of her burning my license, her laugh as the flames caught. "Bon voyage, loser," she'd said, tossing it down. I saved the clip, tagged it for Marcus. This wasn't just evidence, it was ammunition. Lauren thought she trapped me, left me scrambling while she danced off with Ryan. She didn't know I'd already moved, physically, financially, mentally. The loft silence wrapped around me, not heavy, but freeing. Mia and Ethan were with the nanny, safe, unaware. I'd see them soon, keep their world steady. For now, this was about me reclaiming mine. I stood, stretching, the city lights winking below. Lauren's Miami fantasy was about to crash, and I was the architect. She'd burned my license to clip my wings, but all she'd done was light the fuse. I wasn't the broken man she'd mocked. I was Jake Harper, the guy who'd built an empire from nothing, the guy who'd outlast her lies. This wasn't over, it was just beginning. The Atlanta skyline hummed outside my loft's glass walls, a constellation of lights that felt like allies in my war. 3 days had passed since Lauren burned my driver's license, smirking as she left for Miami with Ryan, thinking she'd cage me. She didn't know I'd sold Freight Flow for $1.5 billion, the money locked away in a private account she couldn't touch. She thought I was broke, blind, her poor guy to mock. But the texts, the footage, the receipts, they were my ammunition, and I was done hiding. This wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming who I was before Lauren reshaped me into her prop. I sat at the loft's desk, my laptop a glowing war room. The security cam footage looped on one screen, Lauren torching my license, her laugh sharp as she said, "Bon voyage, loser." Another clip showed her staging the car break-in last year, smashing her own window to cover her tracks. Sarah, my PI, had sent more. Texts between Lauren and Ryan plotting to clean me out, bank records showing $25,000 siphoned to her hidden account. My favorite was the photo of them boarding their Miami flight, Ryan's arm around her, her smile smug. They thought they'd won. They were about to crash. My first move was Emily, Ryan's fiancée. We'd met at a Buckhead cafe, her eyes hard as she handed over Ryan's cloud password. The texts she found were gold, Lauren bragging about how I'd crash without her, Ryan promising a new life, funded by my money. Emily wasn't just a victim, she was a partner now. I emailed his boss. She texted me that morning. Screenshots, receipts, the works. He's done at the firm. I pictured Ryan sweating in Miami, his cushy finance job slipping away. Good. Let him feel the walls closing in. I called Marcus, my lawyer, pacing the hardwood. "You've got the file?" I asked, forwarding Sarah's latest, more receipts, including a $5,000 couples massage charge to my card. "Oh, yeah," Marcus said, his voice sharp with glee. "This is fraud, theft, destruction of property. The license clip alone is malicious intent. Prenup's ironclad, and the shell company owns the house now. She's got nothing." I nodded, staring at the city below. "Freeze the rest, her cards, the joint accounts. I want her stranded." Marcus chuckled. "Done by noon. She'll be lucky to buy a coffee." I imagined Lauren at a Miami bar, her card declining, her influencer glow fading as the bartender shrugged. Let her squirm. The loft was my command center, but my kids were my anchor. Mia and Ethan were with the nanny, safe but probably confused. I called her, keeping it light. Take them to the park tomorrow, I said. I'll meet you there. I needed to see their faces, remind myself why I was fighting. Lauren had used them as props, dressing Mia in frilly outfits for her posts, forcing Ethan into staged, candid shots. I'd give them a real life, not a filtered one. I texted Nate, my business partner, * kids come first. Keep the sale quiet. * he replied, * always, man. You're killing it. * Nate knew the old me, the coder who'd built Freight Flow from a garage. He'd seen Lauren's eye rolls, her snide comments about my nerdy friends. He was Team Jake, no question. Next, I needed to expose Lauren's lies, not just to her, but to the world she'd built on them. I called Tara, a journalist friend who ran a local news blog, Atlanta Pulse. We met at a midtown coffee shop, her notebook already out. Got a story, I said, sipping black coffee. Suburban influencer fakes her life, steals from her husband, runs off with a lover. Tara's eyes lit up. This is gold. Names. I shook my head. Anonymous for now. Frame it as financial abuse, a double life. Let her followers connect the dots. She scribbled fast. I can run it tomorrow, vague but sharp. Sources say vibe. When you're ready, we go nuclear. I nodded. Timing was everything. Lauren's Instagram was her empire. I'd let it crumble under her. Back at the loft, I dug deeper. Sarah sent more footage, Lauren rifling through my office desk last month, probably hunting bank statements. She'd even waved at the camera, thinking I'd never check. Dumb move. I saved every second, building a case with Marcus for fraud and theft. But this wasn't just legal, it was personal. I thought about the early days, when Lauren believed in me, sneaking me coffee in that smelly garage. Where had that girl gone? She'd traded our dreams for likes, turned me into a shadow of her brand. I'd let it happen, too busy coding to notice her molding me, new clothes, new friends, a curated Jake who fit her grid. No more. I stood, stretching, and walked to the window. The city buzzed below, alive, indifferent. I wasn't just fighting for money or the house, I was fighting for me. For the kids. For the life I'd built despite Lauren's attempts to shrink it. I pulled up my banking app, the $1.5 billion, a quiet reminder of my power. Then I opened a new document, typing ideas for a foundation in my mom's name, STEM scholarships, coding camps for kids like I'd been. Lauren had scoffed at it, called it boring compared to her brand deals. She was wrong. This was legacy, not flash. My phone buzzed, Lauren, from Miami. * having the time of my life. You okay at home? * no mention of the license, just her fake cheer. I didn't reply. Marcus texted, * accounts frozen. Cards dead. House locked. * I pictured her tomorrow, tapping her foot in those ridiculous heels, her card failing at a hotel desk. Ryan's promises would fall flat, too, with Emily gutting his career. They built their castle on my money, my trust. Now it was sand, and the tide was coming in. I leaned back, the loft silence wrapping around me. Lauren thought she burned me out of her story. All she'd done was light the match for mine. The Atlanta sun burned bright outside my loft, a new day dawning as Lauren's world unraveled. It was 5 days since she'd torched my driver's license, thinking she'd grounded me while she partied in Miami with Ryan. She didn't know I'd sold Freight Flow for $1.5 billion, the money safe in a private account she couldn't touch. Her texts, her lies, her stage break-ins, they'd built a cage she thought I'd never escape. But I'd broken free, and now she was the one trapped, her perfect life crumbling under the weight of her own choices. Lauren landed back in Atlanta yesterday, rolling up to her mansion in a cab, her designer bags in tow. The security cams caught it all, her pacing the porch, punching the old code into the keypad, the door refusing to budge. She'd slammed her fist against it, yelling, "What the hell?" Her phone came out, probably calling me, but I'd blocked her number. She tried her credit card at a hotel later, declined. Marcus, my lawyer, had frozen everything, joint accounts, cards, her access to our life. The house was mine, transferred to a shell company she couldn't trace. She checked into a budget motel off I-75, her influencer glow fading fast. I didn't gloat. This wasn't cruelty, it was justice. Tara's article on Atlanta Pulse dropped that morning. Behind the filter, influencer's double life of deceit. No names, just a suburban mom who'd faked her perfect marriage, stolen from her husband, and run off with a lover. The details were vague but sharp, enough for Lauren's followers to squint at her latest post, a vague, going through it caption that screamed damage control. Comments turned cold. This you? Fake vibes. Her brand deals dried up. Her friends ghosted. Emily, Ryan's fiancé, had gutted his career, sending his boss the texts and receipts. His finance firm fired him, his LinkedIn now a ghost town. They were left with nothing but each other's lies, holed up somewhere, arguing over whose plan had failed. I met Lauren one last time at a midtown diner, neutral ground where she couldn't make a scene. She looked drained, her hair limp, no makeup, her usual sparkle gone. "You're being cruel, Jake," she started, her voice low but sharp. "Locking me out, freezing the money, it's too much." I sipped my coffee, letting her words hang. She expected me to cave, to fix her mess. I didn't. "This isn't punishment," I said, my voice steady. "It's freedom. You burned our life when you burned that license." Her eyes darted away, then back, trying a softer tack. "We can fix this. For Mia and Ethan. I'll come home." I slid our prenup across the table. She'd signed it years ago, laughing, thinking I'd never amount to anything. "Read it. You're out. No house, no money, no me." Her hand shook as she scanned the page, her breath hitching. "You can't." I stood, tossing a few bucks for the coffee. "I already did. Goodbye, Lauren." I walked out, her stare heavy but powerless. A year later, I stood on a stage in Austin at a tech summit, the crowd buzzing as I launched Authentic, my new platform. No filters, no algorithms pushing lies, just real voices, raw stories. The logo glowed behind me, simple, bold. "This is about truth," I told the sea of faces, phones up, recording. "We've got enough facades. Let's build something real." They roared, the sound washing over me. Mia and Ethan were in the front row, Mia waving a handmaid's sign. "Go Dad." Ethan grinned, his gap-toothed smile my anchor. The platform wasn't just a business, it was my middle finger to Lauren's world of likes and deceit, a space where people could be themselves, not props. The foundation I'd started in my mom's name was thriving, $3 million in STEM scholarships, coding camps for kids like I'd been. Mom, who'd worked double shifts to buy my first computer, would have loved it. Lauren had called it boring, now it was changing lives. I'd reconnected with my brother, Nate, and best friend, Chris, planning a family trip to San Diego, no schedules, just us, the kids laughing as we tossed a frisbee on the beach. I'd even met Lila, a graphic designer with a sharp wit and no patience for fakes. We'd swapped numbers at the summit, her smile a spark, not a script. Nothing serious yet, just possibility. Lauren was a footnote now. The divorce was clean. I got full custody, with her seeing the kids on weekends. She tried one last Instagram post months ago, a tearful My Truth video that got ratioed to hell. Her account's silent, her followers gone. She works part-time at a boutique, her Range Rover repossessed. I didn't destroy her, she did that herself, burning the life we'd built for a fling and a fantasy. Ryan's flipping burgers somewhere, his new life a bust. They lost because they bet on lies. I stood on my loft's balcony that night, the Atlanta skyline alive below. The $1.5 billion had opened doors, but walking away from Lauren's cage had set me free. I'd lost a wife, a house, a version of myself I'd hated. I'd gained everything else, my kids, my purpose, my truth. Mia's drawings covered my fridge now. Ethan's Lego city sprawled across the living room. Authentic was trending, the foundation growing, Lila's number a quiet maybe in my phone. Lauren thought she burned me out of her story. She didn't know her fire had cleared my path, torching the junk I didn't need. Some fires don't end you, they light your way.